Artificial intelligence, AI, has transformed from a technological innovation into a geopolitical battleground where global powers vie for supremacy. The competition between the United States and China is particularly fierce, with each nation striving to outpace the other in AI capabilities. Recently, a new player has emerged on the scene, Deepseek, an AI powerhouse from China that is drawing parallels to previous controversies involving Huawei and TikTok. As Deepseek's influence grows, concerns in the West are escalating, prompting stock market reactions following the launch of Deepseek R1. Let's explore the implications of Deepseek's rise and how the United States and its allies might respond to ensure they maintain leadership in the AI race. To understand the current landscape, we must first look back at how the U.S. dealt with Huawei, a prominent Chinese telecommunications company that faced severe backlash over security concerns. In 2019, the U.S. government placed Huawei on the Entity List, effectively cutting the company off from critical American technologies, including semiconductors, software, and hardware. This significant action disrupted Huawei's operations, as it could no longer access Google's Android ecosystem, severely diminishing the appeal of its smartphones in Western markets. The impact of this decision was profound. In 2020 alone, Huawei experienced a 22% decline in consumer electronics revenue, resulting in a staggering loss of $12 billion. But the U.S. did not stop at merely isolating Huawei. It actively encouraged allies, such as the UK, Australia, and Japan, to exclude Huawei from their 5G networks, citing national security concerns. Despite Huawei's denials of any wrongdoing, the U.S. strategy was clear. By severing access to cutting-edge technology, they aimed to stifle Chinese innovation and maintain a technological edge. The case of Huawei illuminated a critical vulnerability in China's technological landscape: its heavy reliance on foreign semiconductors. Despite being the world's largest chip market, China imported over $350 billion worth of semiconductors in 2020, which accounted for nearly 90% of its high-end chip supply. This dependency became a focal point in 2022 when the Biden administration imposed additional restrictions, preventing companies like NVIDIA and AMD from selling advanced AI training chips, namely the A100 and H100 series, to Chinese firms. These GPUs, capable of processing vast amounts of data in mere seconds, are the lifeblood of AI development. Without them, training large language models, LLMs, such as DeepSeek's algorithms, becomes exponentially slower and more expensive. The consequences of these restrictions were immediate. Major Chinese tech companies like Alibaba and Tencent began hoarding existing chip inventories to secure their operations, while numerous startups faced delays in bringing new products to market due to the scarcity of high-performance chips. According to analysts from TrendForce, if the embargo continues, China's AI computing power could lag behind that of the U.S. by a staggering 1.5 to 2 years. This gap is critical in an industry where technological breakthroughs can be measured in months, if not weeks. As DeepSeek continues to rise, Western policymakers may adopt a range of strategies to counter its influence and preserve their technological leadership. One straightforward approach is tightening semiconductor restrictions. For instance, NVIDIA's H200 GPU, launched in late 2023, boasts a 60% increase in performance for AI tasks compared to its predecessor. If the U.S. were to ban its sale to China, DeepSeek would have no choice but to rely on local alternatives, such as Huawei's Ascend 901B. However, these alternatives are estimated to be 30 to 50% less efficient, potentially leading to significant slowdowns in AI development. To illustrate the potential impact of such restrictions, consider the resources required to train OpenAI's GPT-4 model, which utilized 25,000 NVIDIA A100 chips over 90 days. If DeepSeek were to attempt a similar project with less efficient hardware, the timeline could stretch into years. This would provide Western firms with a substantial advantage in the fast-paced AI sector, where speed is often critical to success. Interestingly, DeepSeek managed to achieve its initial breakthroughs using less efficient chips than the NVIDIA H200 GPU, which highlights the tenacity and ingenuity of Chinese developers. While the U.S. and its allies strategize to counter DeepSeek, China is not remaining passive. The Chinese government has committed $150 billion toward achieving semiconductor self-sufficiency by 2030, supporting the development of chip fabrication plants and aggressively recruiting talent from leading semiconductor manufacturers like TSMC and Samsung. Recently, SMIC, China's largest chip maker, achieved production at the 7-nanometer node, a significant milestone, albeit 2 generations behind TSMC's cutting-edge 3-nanometer technology. While this technological gap remains considerable, the state-driven nature of China's industrial policy could accelerate progress in the semiconductor sector, reminiscent of the country's rapid ascendancy in solar panel production and high-speed rail technology. However, Hardware alone is insufficient for advanced AI development. The software frameworks that underpin AI systems, such as TensorFlow from Google and PyTorch from Meta, are equally critical. Access to these tools is essential for developers, and denying Chinese firms access could disrupt their workflows overnight. In 2023, the European Union introduced the AI Act, which imposes stringent compliance requirements on high-risk AI systems, including transparency mandates and data governance rules. If Western regulators classified Deepseek as non-compliant, they could effectively block its services from operating within their jurisdictions. China has prepared for potential software restrictions by developing homegrown alternatives to popular frameworks. For instance, Baidu's Paddle and Huawei's Mindspore offer options that can replace TensorFlow, though they currently lag in terms of developer adoption and third-party integrations. Similarly, Alibaba Cloud and Tencent Cloud are attempting to expand their presence globally, yet they control less than 5% of the cloud infrastructure market outside of Asia, compared to AWS's significant 32% market share. A software decoupling between East and West could thus lead to a deeper technological isolation for China, potentially resulting in a splinter net, where AI systems evolve along divergent paths in each region. Innovation in AI is heavily driven by funding, and for many Chinese startups, foreign investment has been crucial. In 2023 alone, China's AI sector secured $15 billion in funding, with prominent Silicon Valley venture capital firms like Sequoia Capital and Andreessen Horowitz backing promising ventures. However, as national security concerns rise, the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States has begun scrutinizing these investments more rigorously. In 2024, the U.S. government ordered a Chinese-linked firm to divest from a generative AI startup, a precedent that could extend to Deepseek and its investors. The West could also exclude Deepseek from its consumer markets, further curtailing its growth. The EU's General Data Protection Regulation offers a framework for action. Labeling Deepseek's data practices as unsafe could result in a ban on its applications in European app stores. Additionally, the U.S. could invoke the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, as it did with TikTok, compelling ByteDance to divest its interests or face a ban. The loss of access to 800 million Western Internet users would significantly hamper Deepseek's scalability and hinder its ability to establish a global brand presence. Public sentiment also plays a crucial role in shaping policy. A 2023 Pew Research poll revealed that 82% of Americans view China's technological advancements as a threat, with bipartisan support for stricter controls on Chinese firms. Media narratives framing Deepseek as a tool for surveillance or propaganda could further alienate Western consumers, creating a stigma similar to that which hindered Huawei's smartphone division. As concerns about data privacy, security, and the ethical implications of AI continue to mount, policymakers may find it politically advantageous to adopt a hardline stance against emerging Chinese tech giants. Meanwhile, Beijing is actively pursuing counter-strategies to neutralize Western pressure while exploiting vulnerabilities in the global tech supply chain. The $150 billion investment in semiconductors is not merely aimed at catching up. It seeks to leapfrog existing technologies. For example, while SMIC's 7-nanometer chips may not be as advanced as TSMC's offerings, they remain suitable for a wide range of AI applications. Moreover, Huawei has been stockpiling advanced chips and developing proprietary chip design software to reduce reliance on U.S.-dominated tools like Cadence and Synopsys. Researchers at the Chinese Academy of Sciences are also exploring groundbreaking architectures, including photonic chips and quantum computing, which have the potential to disrupt traditional silicon-based technologies altogether. As the competition intensifies, the implications for global trade and international relations are significant. Countries that rely heavily on technological imports, particularly those in Europe and Asia, may find themselves caught in the crossfire of U.S.-China tensions. For instance, the semiconductor supply chain is deeply interconnected, with many countries depending on both U.S. and Chinese firms for critical components. The increasing pressure from both sides to take a stand may lead to fractured relationships, where countries are forced to choose sides in a battle that has far-reaching consequences. In this context, the European Union has been particularly proactive in formulating policies aimed at ensuring its technological sovereignty. Initiatives like the European Chips Act are designed to bolster local semiconductor manufacturing capabilities, reducing dependence on external suppliers. This could help Europe mitigate the risks associated with geopolitical tensions, ensuring that it can remain competitive in the global tech landscape. The ongoing competition between the U.S. and China in AI development highlights critical decisions regarding countering influence, which will impact not only technology, but also the geopolitical balance of power. Actions taken in one region will affect the global tech ecosystem and shape the future of AI and its societal implications. Share your thoughts. Are you impressed with Deepseek's advancement? And what do you think the US should do about China's AI advancement?